Wake up, I gotta go get it. Wake up, wake up, I gotta.
Yo. College Couch Podcast back in session. Episode 2 of Season 2. That's crazy, right, brother? Episode 2 of Season 2. Episode 1, blast. Of course, we had some minor technical difficulties, but that's, I guess, in the fashion of the College Couch Podcast. What's an episode without some controversy, I guess? But
Right.
listen, we're back. We're back and ready to rock and roll. Brother, what a week. What a week one.
Man, crazy games. Crazy,
Crazy.
crazy games. A lot
Yeah.
of disappointments, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? A lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
And for some teams, not a lot to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of question marks. But nonetheless, a great first week. Great first
Oh
week.
yeah. And you know what's crazy too, bro? I really wanna it's it's not typical to do this for the College Couch, but we don't have a game that really stuck out to us from this past week. I
At all.
mean, none of the games really stuck out to where we need to really dive deep into this game and give a more in-depth analysis, right? So we're going to do a rapid fire in a way, like just spit off the top of the head, almost like freestyling. So I'm going to start off literally, and I'm just going to put it out in the atmosphere. I'm going to start off by this one. It's kind of out of order. Oregon does not look like the Oregon that we thought we were going to see this year.
Definitely not the Oregon of past and usual.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon, although they came out with the victory, to me it was very sluggish in my opinion. The stat line didn't match the score, you know, and that's essentially to me where you can have empty stats, meaning
Yes.
I a lot of people I know were talking about how they thought DJ did well in week 0. You know, it wasn't his fault. You know, the stats didn't matter, whatever. But that goes to show you can have 300, 400 yards passing and it not be anything. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
don't, you know what I'm saying? Like they were very sluggish. They didn't. If they were to run into a team with even a decent
Yeah.
defense, I think they're gonna sputter, in my opinion. But yeah, they may have a long season. They
And
may
what's
have
so
a long season.
and what's so crazy about this game is, I mean, with Oregon, brother, they literally scored 14 points before the half. 14 points on a Idaho team. This is a team that was supposed to really be, in a way, revamped. I mean, you lose Bo Nix to the draft. You still have Ted Johnson, which was a key receiver from that receiving core. Bucky Irvin, of course, in the draft. So we really thought we were going to see a lot of passing this game, but we did. Don't get me wrong. 380 yards is no slouch for Dylan Gabriel, but that was a slow start for Oregon. Like that wasn't a game that we were really looking for. But yeah, man, really hope Oregon gets it together. They have Boise State, which is a game to look for in week 2. Um, yeah, man. Get it together. Like you
Right.
need
I
to.
mean, luckily for them, it's beginning of the season, first
Yeah.
week. You know, we typically see teams start off slow. Like I'm just saying, like every game that we watched, and we watched a lot of games on Saturday. It seemed like everybody really got off to a slow start. You know, that was playing. I don't want to say, for lack of better words, a big team that might not have been ranked, like a big school, like not like a smaller school that they was
Yeah.
supposed to obliterate. Seemed like everybody pretty much had a slow start.
Right.
Even Georgia Clemson, that was a very slow start for both sides of the ball. I know for me, early on, I was like, and I told you, I said, well, they don't look like the defense doesn't look like the defense of old. You
Hmm.
know, slow start, but as we know, Kirby Smart is the king of the second half adjustments. So I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, even with Georgia, I mean, Georgia is as big as they won by. To me, that didn't tell the whole story.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong, they were still good. It just wasn't what we're used to seeing of Georgia.
Yeah.
Um, but as far as Oregon goes, that was yeah, they gotta get it together. I think although he did over 300 yards passing, that was good.
Hmm.
That's got to convert to touchdowns, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I gave DJ a lot of flack last week or week 0 about not having over 200 yards, but if you have less than 200 yards, at least have a couple touchdowns in there. That's the name of the game. Like if you can go, I don't care. You can throw for 1,000 yards in a game. You don't score no touchdowns. You ain't winning. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's a lot to go off of for week 1. So I kind of think they had to go through that. That slow build. Maybe to get going. I'm hoping. You know. So they made a play down to their competition a little bit early. So hopefully they clean that up, change
Yeah.
their mindset, and get it going. I mean, it's not too late. Luckily, no rankings are coming out right now, so they got a bit of time to clean it up. So
Well, we did get a chance to see the AP rankings, and of course, Florida State is no longer in the top 10, or I'm sorry, top 25. But to stay on this Georgia Florida State, I mean, I'm sorry, Georgia Clemson game, have we seen a potential glimpse of what we could see from Clemson this season by losing to Georgia?
I don't know because I mean it's one of those things where you got to play great to play against a good team. So
Mhm.
maybe I mean I look at it like two sides of the coin. Like okay, if they play like that, they could potentially win out because, like I said before, and I still stand on this now, the ACC is up for grab. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, I mean, nobody from the ACC really stuck out. I mean, the best
Mhm.
performance, was to me, in my opinion, was Miami,
Yep.
and
Yep.
and that was a little bit of a slow start too. So, but it's one of those things like you playing the big dogs, so you're gonna try to be the one to beat them, especially coming out week 1. But they got a lot of young guys on their team, so I don't know, because this could potentially, um, I don't want to say set them back in a sense, because it's almost like okay, we gave it everything we had, we gave them trouble, and we still got whooped. You know what I'm saying? Now, if they can change it into a positive and say, okay, well we hung around, and we have no transfers, we got none of the stuff that all these other guys have, and we still made it look good at least for 3 quarters. You know what I'm saying? Um, and then look at it as we got to close out now. 'Cause I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, after the first half, I mean, I really thought, okay, Clemson might, do something. They
Mhm.
might just upset Georgia.
Yeah.
But as we know, Kirby Smart, the king of second half adjustments, he made that adjustment. And to me, the only adjustment that I saw is they stopped running the ball up the middle much for Georgia, and they just became way more physical. Like almost in the sense of you're not gonna beat me anymore. Like, you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? I think Clemson got the best of them physically in the first half. I mean, although they weren't winning, it definitely showed like that they almost had the upper hand, but the score didn't translate to that. If that makes sense. But yeah, I mean Clemson, I think they just sputtered in the adjustment. You know, because they had it. It was there for them to make some runs. They just didn't have it in a long run as far as making those second half adjustments to compete with Georgia. So I don't know. I don't know. I hope this is the Clemson that we see because I think they play like this, they can pretty much run the table with the rest of the ACC because they're not gonna run into another team of Georgia's caliber in the ACC, in my opinion.
Mhm. So fair, but 188 total yards, 15-minute quarters, right? That's not the Clemson way. So
Well,
does this?
we don't know the Clemson way anymore because the last 3 or 4 years they haven't.
Well, Well, I mean, but at the same time, with the hype around surrounding this game, we thought that we were going to see more of a effort from Clemson. So with that,
Did we though? Did we though?
I mean, this was a pretty big game,
Yeah, it's a
especially.
big game because of the rankings. I mean, we still didn't. I don't think nobody really. Or I don't. I didn't
Mm,
feel. I didn't feel like it was gonna be an upset until the game actually started. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you are playing against Georgia. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know too many teams outside of the SEC or outside of Ohio State and Michigan that's gonna, you know, make them work as far as yardage goes.
yeah.
You know, I mean, and they do have and Clemson does have a lot of freshmen. They don't have a lot of transfer people or
Well,
anything.
I will say this. Of course, Vegas said this game was going to be a lot closer than what it was. So that's why when I say that this game was supposed to be a lot higher than what it was, the prediction was for this game to be a lot closer than what it was. So
Well, I mean, for Vegas, yeah.
yeah, but does this also give a sense of urgency for Coach Dabo to go ahead and be like, all right, maybe I need to go into the portal and see what it's talking about?
I mean, I don't think he's gonna do any of that,
Okay.
honestly. Just because he's stuck in his ways, almost kind of how, although he didn't go to the extreme of not dipping in the transfer portal, but Saban in a way was stuck in his ways as far as recruiting goes, you know, which is why he retired, you know, because it. I don't want to say he couldn't keep up with the modern day recruiting. I just don't think he liked how it was recruiting people now. You know what I'm saying? Because you almost have to court these players instead of, you know, presenting whatever he presented before as far as the grit, the grind, all that. You know, it's no more Julio Jones mindsets or anything like that, or those players like that. Not the physicality of them, the mindset.
In
So,
in in my
but
honest opinion, I feel like Coach Nick kept up a lot better than what Coach
well, I mean
Dabo did.
that's off a name though. You know what I'm saying? I
But I
mean,
mean, at the same time, Clemson had, well, not in the recent years, but Clemson has that rapport to
but
bring in some recruits.
no, well, I mean, they're not dipping in the transfer portal either. So, and
Hmm.
saving was. So, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's like I'm saying, as far as recruiting the high school players, it's not
hmm.
the same. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we talked about it last season about third strings demanding $100,000 and things like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same mindset. Like, don't get me wrong, Bama was still Bama, but we still definitely saw a dip in Bama because of the way Saban was used to recruiting it and the type of players he was trying to recruit. You know what I'm saying? Oh, much like Kirby Smart, but Kirby Smart understands, in my opinion, the modern way of recruiting players. You know what I'm saying? Um, and off a name. I mean, Kirby Smart has built a name, much like Saban has. Dabo Swinney built a name, but not quite like Saban has. Clemson, if you think about it, when Clemson had their run, it was not dynasty like. You know what I'm saying? They had their run, but then they will win, duck off for a little bit, and then come back. You know what I'm saying? So like you had with Deshaun Watson, right? Then they dipped a little bit, and then they came back. You know what I'm saying? They were still good. Like, college football, to be dominant, you have to be undefeated, win the championship, things like that. You know, two losses is a dip in college football. You and I both know that.
Mm.
So I think with Saban, it was much more of I want to play for the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Because if it wasn't that, they would have stayed at Bama when he left. But as soon as he left, everybody left,
Mm.
except for one player for the most part, like as far as key players, you know? So that's what I say with with Saban's situation. But I don't know, because Dabo hasn't of recent years, he hasn't really proven much. Since Trevor
Yeah.
Lawrence is gone, they haven't done anything.
Well, I'll put it to you like this: the rest the rest of Clemson's schedule looks pretty much like a cakewalk.
Right.
They really don't have any more tough games for the remainder of the season. So this, I mean, we did put out the notion of the ACC is up for grabs, but it could very well much be Clemson's for the taking if they just do what they need to do and step it up and win
But
out. Honestly,
it's still kind of unknown. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like
yeah,
SEC, we pretty much know the top three schools that's gonna
hmm
be in it. You know what I'm saying? It's not the school that's gonna be the ones. You know what I'm saying? Like we know Georgia, we know Bama's gonna probably potentially be in the mix, and possibly Texas. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody else is just fighting for a spot. ACC, we have no idea. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like even with what you're saying now, you said that they didn't play well with the yardage, but then you said that they potentially could win the ACC. But then we talk about Miami. Miami's got potential, but we don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
and
will they
and
be in the mix, or was it just a fluke that game? I mean, we don't know.
and I appreciate you for catching me on that because I do have to remember that Miami looked really well against Florida, or I think people were saying, is Miami just that good or is Florida just that bad? But
Well,
I do want to
but
hit on that game after right after we get done with Clemson. Or were you wrapping up with
we
Clemson,
can
Georgia?
jump because I mean it's still ACC. That's a
Okay,
good way to transition.
let me one game I want to hit on, and I definitely want to give credit where it's due. How about Vandy, brother? Anchor down,
Oh,
beating Virginia Tech.
Vandy surprised me a lot. Like, don't
Yeah,
I call a spade, and I can admit when I'm wrong. I've always said Vandy is the last one pick for the team for
yeah,
the SEC in a sense, and
they heard you.
New Mexico State transfer quarterback. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Diego Pavia. Diego
Yeah, he
Pavia.
gave us fits last
Mm-hmm.
year. When they upset us. You know what I'm saying? He's a great quarterback. I mean, he makes good decisions, runs the ball very well. But I think I was more impressed with the Vanderbilt defense.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense actually was doing something. I mean, yeah, Tech tried to make a comeback or whatever, but for them to have, you know what I'm saying, to close that out like that, and then
Yeah,
the offense, do what it does. I mean, you love to see it. You
yeah.
love to see it.
Well, you can go ahead and tell the people. Uh, I took the Virginia Tech money line, and when I tell you I was over there on that couch, I hung out with Jay this weekend. I'm sorry, Stackz this weekend, and we watched every game from sun up to sundown. And this game right here, Stackz, I was on an emotional roller coaster from the
Yeah,
time this
yeah. I
game
mean,
started.
I was too. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
why I'm thinking like, wow,
yeah,
Vandy, but that lets us know that the talent gap is closing for a lot
hmm
of a lot of these teams. So I
yeah,
mean, this week, even though we talked about how a lot of these teams that were supposed to blow out teams struggled, you know what I'm saying? That lets us know, or lets me know that the talent gap is becoming smaller, and
yep,
NIL and transfer portal have a lot to do with that. Not saying that the big dogs ain't still the big dogs, because the only way you can really say that the talent gap is closed is if the small pups come out to play and become and beat the big dogs to become the big dog. You know what I'm saying? So that's a mouthful, but
yeah.
but
Talent gap.
it's facts though.
Yeah, no,
Once
sure.
these teams, because I mean, Vandy was the underdog and they beat somebody that they were supposed to lose to. In
Yeah.
my opinion, you know.
hmm
Um, I mean, and there's a lot of these other teams were doing very well. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know we're not on that topic, but let's look at Boston College and Florida State.
Man.
Who would have thought? Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I thought no way in the world Florida State loses again, but they look worse. So, but not to jump forward or anything like
I mean,
that.
but no, that listen. I don't want to spend too much time on this Vandy, Virginia Tech, because Vandy still has a long season ahead of them. But I still, again, I wanted to give credit where it was due. They went out there and I mean they showed out. They had the stands rocking. I think I
Right?
read somewhere where a reporter put on Twitter saying that this is the first time the stands has been filled in quite some time.
Right.
So that was a really good showing out, up there in Nashville,
And they were
for
consistent
Vandy. Yeah,
throughout. Yeah,
yeah,
they were consistent. They were consistent throughout. Like I mean, the game from start to finish, they they found their groove and never let up. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
I know their entire coaching staff can't a lot. Well, most of their coaching staff. I don't know about the entirety of it, but most of their coaching staff came from the NFL, so
Mhm.
there was no subbing out. You know,
Right, right.
like, there's no subbing out. So
Yeah.
they I mean they handle business. That's what you're supposed to do. You know, you got a big team like this, you're supposed to come through, show out, and you know handle business.
Mhm.
You know, and Florida State, I mean, they got stuff to figure out. Even though I think they out of it. I saw some where they have a 1% chance of making the playoffs. Like, at this point, figure out if
Brother,
we can make a bowl game.
brother,
You know,
they're out. They're done. They're done.
I was trying
Cook,
to give them some hope.
cooked,
I didn't want to
cooked,
be the Debbie Down or whatever, but
cooked, cooked. Listen,
DJ need it all start with DJ. I'm just
but
gonna
but
be
but
honest with
hear me out. At this point, I want Memphis to handle business against Florida State. That's just the way that it has to go. Miami has to unleash a different type of football played.
Well, Memphis.
Yes. Memphis has to unleash a different type of football being played when they play against
Oh,
Florida
for
State.
sure, for sure. I
Because
mean,
I want you to,
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I honestly want you to tell me why Memphis can't beat Florida State.
I'm not. I can't say that they can't. It-
Exactly.
It's very, it's very possible. It's very possible.
It's very
It's
possible.
almost very likely that they will
Yeah,
beat Florida State
yeah.
because I say that, and I'm not trying to bash anybody, but DJ has to settle down. I don't know what he has going on mentally in his head, what he's seeing, and not just him. The receivers got to get on the same page. It's almost, from what I see, they didn't spend a lot of time in the off season working together, meaning spend outside of practice. Like I don't see that chemistry with his receivers. His receivers dropped a lot of balls, especially the tight end. I counted like three or four that he dropped that should have been gimmies. But so I just want to say that I'm not putting all the blame on him. But DJ has to. I've said it before. I think he peaked too early in high school because to me he hasn't been that great in college. Others would say otherwise, but that's my opinion from what I see. Um,
Well, if you think about it, I'm not. Don't give me. Please forgive me. I forgot what class he is, but he's in the same graduating class as Bryce Young,
yeah, and
NFL.
it came out 2020. Yeah,
Yeah, and C.J. Stroud, who is now in the NFL. He was
right,
the second. He was the second ranked
right.
quarterback in
And then
between Bryce and C.J. So
Bryce
it's
and
kind of
CJ Stroud.
wild. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right,
yeah. So
right. I
it's
mean, coming out of
crazy.
high school, don't get me wrong. High school, he was great. He was great. But that
Yeah.
that tells you to any young players out there now, that tells you just being great in high school and just being great as a freshman or whatever is not enough. You got to keep getting better. You got to grow. You got to add things to your game. Prime example, Bryce Young. I always praised him, even though he played for Bama, and I can't stand Bama. But he's always, from every year I've seen him play, he's always brought something different to his game, and he's brought a calmness in his game.
Mm.
So the growth has been there. Even in the pros, you know what I'm saying? I think I saw this year, in the preseason with him that he's grown. Same thing with CJ Stroud. So I mean, these are things that you have to do so you don't peak too early. Because I
Mm.
don't see any growth. I don't see what he's doing different than what he was doing last year. You know, and I don't see anything different from what he did at Clemson. You know, so I mean, for you to be a 5-star with all this hype around you, number two quarterback in the nation or whatever, right below CJ Stroud, I mean, right below Bryce Young, right above CJ Stroud, you got to grow or you gonna get left.
Yeah.
And essentially, that's what's happening. So yeah, I mean, that's I don't want to bash him too much. I don't want to,
Listen, after what I've heard on social media in the past few days with his daddy going at folks on in the Twitter Spaces, I don't want no smoke with DJ Uyunglele's father. But again, they do they have a chance to rectify their season? Yes, but are they going to potentially make it into that top 12? Probably not. But at the end of the day, it starts with him. He's a clear
yeah,
cut leader on
that's
the
probably
team.
that.
He's the quarterback, starting quarterback. They wouldn't have given him the job for no reason. So he's going to have to make a change. I mean,
Well,
so
I mean, essentially, they could have promised him that, I mean,
yeah.
and they might not have a backup to put pressure on him. I
Mhm.
don't know. But and as far as the people that coming for smoke, you watch the tape, you seen him play. Like, 'cause I mean, this is what happens. This is media. This is the
Yeah,
world we live in. This is 2024. You have a bad game, you got to deal with the noise. What do you think is going to happen if he goes to the NFL and plays?
it's even worse.
Right. NFL fans are just as bad, if not worse, than college fans. This is what happens when you are put into the spotlight. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? This is why I always say situations are best for players. Like, you can be a great player, go to a bad situation and look like you're a bad player
Mhm.
when you're not. But for him, that's three different situations he's been in, and he hasn't performed to the level that we expect him to play at.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about championships because it's a lot more than a quarterback that you need for that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying championships. I'm just saying your individual play, how you lead a team. When things go wrong, what do you do? Things like that. Like I've seen CJ Stroud pick himself up when things go bad and throw dots. You know what I'm saying? I've seen him in command of the offense, command of his team, being the leader that the quarterback is. I've seen Bryce Young do the same thing. You know, in a less vocal way. I've never seen Bryce Young rattled. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say that he's them, but
Mhm.
these are the qualities that you have to have. You know what I'm saying? To be an elite quarterback, you don't have to be Vic. You don't have to be Cam Newton. You don't have to be Tom Brady. You just have to have have the ability to lead a team. You know, that's
Yeah.
that that's the most important part. Because everybody's gonna be looking to you. So for those that are coming and doing all that, uh, getting mad at folks for the backlash, look at the tape. How you do quiet the talkers? Play better, win, shut them
Mhm.
up. You know what I'm saying? Talking is not gonna get you. It's not gonna make them be any more quiet. That's gonna make them get riled up even more. So
Yeah.
that's my opinion on it.
I agree, and I think the next game, I'm gonna save that game for towards the end because the team that I want to talk about is one of the teams that's gonna be featured as one of the games of the week for week 2. But I did want to kind of hit on Ohio State versus Akron. Um, a bit of a slow start for them, but I know we're talking a lot about slow starts for these teams, and it's week 1. But at the same time, when you're playing teams like, um, we call them the cupcake games. These are the games where you're really testing the offense to see what's been working in your fall camps, to see
Right.
what's been working over the summer. So we expect these teams to come out with a lightning with the pedal to the metal, and it's kind of like, okay, now we're trying to work on these adjustments in the middle of a game, which is kind of not really liked, or what's the word I'm trying to use, expected in a way. Like we want these teams to come out cooking, you know.
Right. Right.
So with Ohio State, I mean, this is I think we've all heard the comments that Nick Saban made on College Game Day. This was a team that was spent. They spent what, over 2 million on this team or more than that. I can't remember the
I
exact
think it's
number.
like 10 million or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Around there.
But from what Nick Saban said, he was like, it doesn't matter how much money you spend if they can't perform
That's the
to
point.
the expectations.
That's the point.
So it showed. It
Right.
showed.
And that,
It
that
showed.
goes back to what I always say.
Hmm.
I don't care what your star rating is,
Yeah.
none of that. It's beautiful to talk about all of that.
Mhm.
But how do you gel with the team? How do you play when? How do you do when stuff's not going your way? How do you what's the chemistry like from quarterback to receiver, from line to quarterback to from running back to quarterback to everything matters. Like
Mhm.
how are you a good fit for this team? You know what I'm saying? And to Saban's point, that's what he built. Think about all the players that came through Saban. Most of them, I would say about 90% of them that I've seen are unselfish players. From the Mark Ingrams to the Julio Joneses to the Bryce Youngs, like they're unselfish. Like Derrick Henry, they want to win. That's all
Mhm.
they care about. You know what I'm saying? So them going to spend 10 million. I don't care how much you spend. I don't care how many superstars you got. We've seen it before. Just because you got the Transformers don't mean the Decepticons ain't finna put you on your tail, man. Like you know what I'm saying? Like to put it in I'm showing my nerd side, but yeah, like you can have all of these superstar elite players and they just
Mhm.
don't mesh well. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I don't care. Like like if they'd have pulled that against a team of some stature, and I'm not trying to knock Akron at all, but for the talent that Ohio State has, they should have been way better than that. Like they should have scored way more than that. Like you
Mhm.
got two of the top running backs, arguably the top running backs in college football. You got some of the top receivers in college football. I don't care who your quarterback is at that point. You got all these elite receivers. You just got to put the ball there
Yeah.
in their area. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And then you have a big time safety on the defense. You got seeing your defensive players. Now, to me, and I've said this before, that puts Ryan Day on that category of being on the hot seat.
Mhm.
If you can't get it done after spending $10 million on all these superstar prospects, you can't do it with anybody.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest, you
Yeah.
know. So I mean, I think that boils down to, I mean, of course, performance. Everything got to work itself out. It's only one ball, so you can't be fighting over that. But it comes down to coaching. How do
Yeah.
you coach these boys after a rocky start like that?
Mhm.
Because with spending money on these players comes a sense of entitlement and comes a sense of I want the ball in my hands, but it's only one ball. You know what I'm saying? So that's when character comes into play. It's like I want to win. I
Mhm.
know, and then I know in winning and in playing to win, my opportunities are gonna come
Yeah.
because the longer you play, the more eyes are on you, and the more eyes are on you, the more opportunities you have to shine. You know what I'm saying? That it don't
Yeah.
and it don't take much. All it takes is one game to change everybody's perspective of you. You know what I'm saying? So, because I mean, think about it. Cam Newton only played 1 year in everybody else's eyes, but he played in whole college career. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, so you don't need a whole 4 year resume to go pro or get eyes on you. You know what I'm saying? You just need one big game or two big games, one good year. You know what I'm saying? And you getting that call to come to the combine, and then you handle it from there. So, yeah, for Ohio State, I think they might be in trouble. I think they might
I,
be in trouble.
I do want to add this before switching off. Freshman Jeremiah Smith, wideout, 2 touchdowns. I mean, one of the most highly recruited prospects of this year alone, and probably for Ohio State. Oh, he showed out. He showed out. And I mean, if we see more of that from him this season, I don't see why he won't be taking awards home by the end of the season. I mean, that kid was on fire. Like he was getting, I think he led that game because Ibuka, I think he was second. But that just goes to show that possibly Will Howard may already have one of his guys. I think he's may have already built that chemistry with a guy like Jeremiah Smith,
Right.
like a talent like Jeremiah Smith. So if we see a lot more of that connection this season, I think they should be fine. But again, these slow starts, though,
Right.
again, not to knock Akron, But against a team like Akron, it can't slide. They have
Yeah,
Western Michigan coming up next week, or I'm sorry, this weekend. This is these two games where you get to kind of play around, try some new adjustments, try some kind of test the playbook out. These are the games where you do that because once you start getting into these conference games and these games where you're playing against more high ranked opponents, or even when you get into the college football playoffs picture, you're not going to get an opportunity to really test that playbook. You should already have things unlocked. You should already have that chemistry, that gel, all that.
right.
So these two games to really open up your season, build chemistry, get the gel, take your linemen out to eat, talk with them, whatever,
No,
something. But whatever you need to do to keep your spot in the poll on lock, because there doesn't need to be any if ands or buts. Like this is your season for the taking. You have a potential to come and play in Atlanta for the national championship come January. So
yeah,
why
it should,
not?
but it shouldn't even be a doubt in the mind
Mhm.
that you know what I'm saying. Ohio State is going to make the playoffs and possibly the championship.
Yeah.
Um, agree with what you said 100%. You know, and this week, if they haven't cleaned anything up, you know, and they're slow to get going again, and they're not putting the points on the board like they're supposed to, the doubt is gonna start to creep up for me. I know, so
Mhm.
I can only imagine what other fans um may be thinking because me personally, you got 2 weeks in a row against opponent you should obliterate, and you struggle with those both. You know, okay, now you playing against a Michigan or you playing against a Georgia. That's first of all, that's not gonna work against
Mhm.
Georgia. I'm just putting that out there now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you have to, as far as what you said with, the guy he's got chemistry with, you need to have all that chemistry with all your receivers because you just having it with one. We saw it last year with, Marvin Harrison Jr. Like yes, he's a beast, but you got to have other guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost a sense of when Julio was playing for the Falcons when they covered him, they sold out on him and made the other players beat him. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you go against a good team and a good coach, that's what they're gonna do. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, we know he's going to him. He's gonna get his, but we're gonna slow him down. So now, once we slow him down, what's your chemistry like with your other receivers?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and another example of that, so another game with Colorado, um, uh, with Travis Hunter, we know the chemistry there with them, but who stepped up in a big way that nobody's talking about? Jimmy Horn. You know what I'm saying? So that chemistry is being built. So that's a beautiful thing. Now you have to do that with the rest of the team, the rest of the offense.
Yeah.
So in the same respect, they've got some stuff to figure out. Will Howard's got to get on the same page as all of his receivers. I mean, and it's not hard to do. I mean, these guys been playing football for a long time. They're good at what they do. I'm not trying to knock anybody for doing what they're good at. But the chemistry's got to be there.
Yeah.
For all the talent that you have, y'all should be way more further along, in my opinion,
Okay.
going against these teams. It's not like you went against a Clemson like Georgia did. You didn't go against, you know what I'm saying, like any big powerful schools. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That could potentially upset you. You know what I'm saying? Like these games, pretty much you can mess up and still pretty much kind of be
Yeah.
in a good spot. But we don't want we you don't want that. You don't want that at all. So they got some stuff to clean up. They got some chemistry to get. So it'd be
We,
interesting to see.
we got four more games. I want to go ahead on your boys. Auburn played against Alabama A&M this past weekend. A lot of controversy from this game. A lot of people were saying, of course, you guys put up 73 on Alabama A&M, but at the same time, it's Alabama A&M. What can you guys do to potentially get a victory versus Cal coming up this weekend?
So for one, let's not get the big head
Mm.
going into that game. You know. Um. For two, for the people that's saying that is that. And I don't hear nobody saying that, with Ohio State Akron,
Mhm.
they're saying that, oh, these boys barely beat these boys.
Mhm.
We blew our team out. We did what we were supposed to do. And last time I checked, both of us got the same ranking. We ain't ranked. We not
Yeah,
top 25.
yeah,
So um for the people that said that it was just their team, y'all obviously hadn't seen us the last 3 or 4 years. So hush, keep quiet, stay in your lane and watch your team, for one. For two, I don't care who he is. 73 points is a lot of goddamn points. You know what I'm saying? And I don't hear nobody talking about Ole Miss putting up 70 something points on the team that they did. They put up 78 points. That's a good thing. But they played somebody just as bad as we did. You know? So 73 points, 73 points. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Bama. 63 points and 63 points. So uh I think for us going forward, we have to keep this consistency. It was fun to watch because we haven't, as Auburn fans, we have not seen this type of excitement on the offensive side of the ball for Auburn.
yeah.
A lot to clean up. Thorne has got, I mean, he had a great game, but I think he has to get a little more settled and more, consistent playing against, bigger schools or whatever. And playing against Cal is going to show me a lot because I've seen a lot of teams are calling him out and, not giving him his due or whatever, whatever he feels he may deserve. Um, but yeah, I mean, for us to beat Cal, got to get Jacquez Hunter involved, get him going. Um, and we just gotta make the right decisions. Make you know what I'm saying, not make a lot of mistakes as far as turnovers go. Um, keep it balanced. I like that Hugh Freeze is calling the plays. I can definitely tell the difference from this year and last year as far as explosive play ability. We didn't have a lot of explosive plays last year. We had some big wins, had some tough losses last year, but as far as explosiveness, this is the most consistent I've seen Auburn in a long time. And for the people, like I said again, for the people saying that it's just this team that we played against or whatever, uh we didn't even score 60 points in some games. We should have beat teams. We threw interceptions in games. We should have blew out teams. Uh Quarterback play was slow. No explosive plays. Most of the plays came from the running back position. So to see that, to see 4, 5, 6 different receivers score and get big plays, that is something to write home about. I don't care who you are. You know what I'm saying? Um, but it's a lot to clean up. They I mean, they had some miscues, celebrating too early, dropping the ball almost before you got to the end zone, or before you got into the end zone, didn't get called. But some close plays, some mental mistakes, they need to be cleaned up. Don't get me wrong, it's not a perfect game by no stretch, but the fact that it wasn't a perfect game by no stretch, and we still put up 73 points has me excited to see what's to come. And that's the first time I felt like that in a long time being a fan. It's almost much like, when Georgia was knocking at the door all those years, and they finally got some steam rolling, and you know what I'm saying, and Georgia fans were excited. I saw you get excited. I saw other fans that I know get excited, and the train started rolling. Am I saying we're gonna beat Georgia or we're gonna beat Georgia? I'm not saying that. It's just exciting to see us moving in a direction where we can be explosive. You know, who knows what the season will hold? But as long as we clean up the mental mistakes, Thorne can be more consistent because this team is gonna go as far as Thorne can take us. So um it's gonna start and stop with the quarterback positions because we've already seen what Cam Coleman can do. We've already seen what Lambert Smith can do, and a plethora of other receivers that I'm leaving out. Um so we know we have the talent at the skill positions. It's all gonna start with the quarterback because if he can't get it to him, it's gonna be pointless.
Yeah.
Defense looked very good, exciting. And so I mean, it was exciting all throughout. So if we can clean things up, keep everything consistent, we're playing at home. So We have the advantage. So I think um we should be able to handle business. This will tell me a lot about this team because last year we struggled. I mean, it was a lot different situation. I mean, had a play caller that wasn't consistent. We were over in California on their time, a late game. I was tired just watching it. You know what I'm saying? So I know they were tired playing in it. Um, so I mean, this game is gonna be a personal one on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
So I think this will tell me a lot about what our team is gonna look like. So yeah.
And all that sounds beautiful. I love that was beautifully put. But I do want to get to your big brother now. Alabama literally rolling that tide over Western Kentucky. Brother, I truly forgot at one point in time TJ Finley has played for LSU, Auburn, in Texas State, and now Western Kentucky. He's lost to Bama 3 times in his career, with the third time just now being with Western Kentucky.
But
He had some comments before this game, and it looks like Coach Kalen DeBoer, Jalen Milroe, and 17-year-old freshman Ryan Williams had a lot to say for that. I mean, these boys pretty much dominated from the start of the game. I mean, they put up 334 rushing yards, which is unheard of. I mean,
right,
Justice,
right. So
dude, what is happening in Tuscaloosa right now?
they handle business. But just like you just said, we're saying that they roll, and all of that. Same thing Auburn did to a team that was different. So
Fair, fair,
I'm just saying,
fair.
like everybody picks and chooses when to use the word. Oh, it's just this team. They're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But um, I just had to get that out. But no, I mean Bama handle business. And as far as
Yeah.
T.J. Finley, don't get me wrong, he's played some decent football against Bama.
Mm-hmm.
When his first year playing against Bama at Auburn, he almost beat Bama. It just he ran into that man Bryce Young, and Bryce Young had some other things to say about it. You know, and and there was some controversy in that game, or else we would have won. You know what I'm saying? So, um, Finley, I like um uh he's another DJ in my opinion, as far as something's going on between the ears mentally, like as far as playing like in the game in the moment. It's almost like the both of them panic in certain situations. Like you know what I'm saying? It's almost like they're rattled. For him, I mean, you put your big boy pants on to make those comments. You don't do that when you playing. You know, when you playing the big boys. Like you know what I'm saying? You don't do that, especially when you haven't even proven to lead a team to a certain stature yet. You know, like Bama is still Bama. Like don't get me wrong. Like they reloaded a lot. And they've got the most important position back. They got a quarterback that was there last year, was upset about how last year ended, and is back for his revenge. You don't poke the bear when the bear already upset. Like you know what I'm saying? So um it was exciting to see. I can't stand Bama at all, but it was good to see. I like Jalen Milroe's game. A lot of people like to call him a glorified running back, but I don't think he's that. I think he has one of the prettiest deep balls in college football. Um, and one of the most accurate deep balls in college football. His only problem is passes of between 10 to 15 yards. Those are the struggles for him. The short passes, the short game, the medium game. The deep balls have never been his issue, but I saw a lot of growth last weekend. It was West Kentucky. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but it's a great start to something that could potentially go into something else. The chemistry was built with his freshman receiver. Chemistry was built with the other receivers. The running backs got going early and got some confidence. Everything you wanted to see in a basically a tune-up game to get the season started, you saw that game. You know what I'm saying? They let their foot off the gas a little bit because they could have scored a whole lot more.
Yeah.
But they let their foot off the gas out of respect. you know. So yeah, I mean, I like what I saw out of the offense. Defense, it was I like what I saw out of them, but there's some stuff that I saw that they kind of came out a little slow because they let Western Kentucky drive all the way down the field. They missed the field goal, and that's all she wrote after that. you know.
Fair,
So
fair.
I mean, overall performance on both offense and defense, I could say is pretty solid. Considering the competition they were playing against. It was a great season opener for them. I love that they didn't play down to the competition. Because obviously from week one, a lot of teams was playing down to their competition early and then got going late. Bama didn't play down to the competition. They got going early and kept it rolling. So kudos to
I'm,
them
I'm
for that.
I'm gonna say this jokingly. Rapid fire went horribly wrong. We went through all the games dang near through week one, and we are 50 minutes into the second episode. It's fine though, but I'm gonna let you pick the next game. We got two left. It's between USC and LSU. I had a feeling we may would leave that one last, but we also have Texas A&M and
Well,
Notre
well,
Dame.
I'm gonna go with LSU and USC.
Okay.
USC. How do you feel that both USC and LSU um did with replacing their star-studded quarterbacks?
So I, me personally, I was watching a lot more for LSU just because I was able to again talk to um, one of the reporters for them before they played against USC. So I was really looking for a lot of the key guys that was mentioned in our conversation, and some of it was shown. Now, granted, another slow started game. I actually fell asleep on this game. Um,
Yeah, very much so.
yeah, I was snoozing, but it's early. It's early in the season. I want to give. I want to give. Now I will say this: USC's defense, get it together, get it together, get it together, get it together. Um, it just didn't look too high. I think Garrett Nussmeier was really able to control within the air a lot, and that really took this game down to um LSU's control in a way. So again, I fell asleep during this game. I fell asleep. I'm gonna be honest. I fell asleep. But of course, USC came away with the victory. But that defense still needs some work done. And it shows from last season. It showed from last season translating. I mean, transitioning into this season as well.
Well, I have to disagree. I think that their defense is better than last year because think about it, they closed the game out, which is what they couldn't do to save their life last year. Um, I mean, let's not get it twisted. LSU still got some dogs on their team,
Yeah,
especially at the receiver spot. I mean, and I don't know how you say it, Nussmeier. That's how am I
yeah,
pronouncing it right?
Nussmeier. Yeah,
Yeah. So he's a good quarterback. He's just not the.
he's not Jalen Daniels. He's not Jaden
Yeah,
Daniels.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say that. I would just say he's just not the game changer
That
type of
Jaden
player.
Daniels was.
Yeah, it's like so he's not. I'm trying to put it respectfully. I don't wanna. I don't wanna compare the two. I don't. It's comparing apples to oranges. Yeah, they both fruits. Yeah, they both quarterbacks, but
Hey,
two
spade
different
for
playing
spade,
styles.
brother.
But yeah, he's a pocket quarterback that's gonna manage the game. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? That you don't make the big mistake. Put the ball in the skill player's hands. Let him make plays. That's essentially what you want to do. So, and he did that for the most part. And this is why I say USC's defense is much improved from last year. By no stretch am I saying that they're complete. I think they still got a lot of things to clean up, but the thing that they could not figure out is how to get off the field on third downs and how to close out games, the big games. So those were the things that I was going into the game looking for. Because I said it all last year. USC defense was putrid, you know, and this year I think having a opponent of LSU's caliber as far as the name, the coaching, you know what I'm saying? Like we've known LSU to be a powerhouse in football, you know, so to speak. You know, maybe not consistently, but we know them to be a powerhouse in football. For you to come to that stage, you know, on the game on, you know, well, the biggest game on, all eyes on you, you know, two new quarterbacks, you know, the whole defense, you know, is different from last year for the most part. I think both sides show growth on the defensive end because both sides had the same problems. If you think about it, both losing Heisman winning quarterbacks, both having terrible defenses last year and high power offenses last year. Both of them were in the same boat, and I think offensively USC is in great hands.
Mhm.
I like that quarterback. His name escapes me at this moment. I do
Miller
apologize.
Moss.
Miller Moss. I like him. He's got that dog in him. He's it's there.
Mhm.
He's not a game changer. He's not the type of player that Caleb Williams was, but he can get it done. You know, provided the time and everything like that. Provided the weapons that he has. I think USC, if they can correct some things on defense, correct some things on offense, I think they could very well be someone to look out for to get an upset or two. You know, I'm not saying they're going undefeated or anything like that, but they definitely, you know, make some noise with this team that they have. And LSU, on the other hand, defense has a lot of work to do. Um, a little bit improved from last year, but I don't see the dramatic changes. You know, um, yeah, I just don't see it. It's a lot of things that they need to clean up, you know,
Okay.
especially in the secondary, in my opinion. Um, yeah, that's my take from it. Both
Notre
both
Dame
teams.
going into A&M, Aggie Land, College Station, Texas. What's your
This was
takeaways from that game?
this was I had Texas A&M.
Do you feel like this was a snoozer game rather than USC LSU?
Both
Because
was
I almost fell asleep during this game
both
too.
both were not the most exciting.
Yeah,
I'm completely transparent. They were not the most exciting games, but again, both of these games I was looking for something different.
yeah.
Like I wasn't looking for excitement in these games. I was looking for what did they improve on, you
Mhm.
know, because I had already got my W for the weekend for Auburn winning, so I was, you know, everybody else I was studying, you know,
Yeah.
but A&M, uh, I'm not gonna lie, they didn't disappoint me because I didn't have high expectations for them to begin with. I chose them simply because they were at home, and it's hard to win you know, at their home territory because it's so loud and it's, you know, it's so energetic. Um, and yeah, I mean, Texas A&M's always got good recruits and things like that, but they just never put it together.
Mhm.
Um, so I wasn't expecting much from them. I was thinking they were going to win just because home field advantage, they were going to have the upper hand. And as far as Notre Dame, I'm proud that they were able to close out a big game, win a big game on the road. That speaks a lot because, you know, past few years that's been the talk of the town with Notre Dame. They can't win the big one. They can't win against a big school. Or they can't win, you know, against ranked opponents, whatever. And they did that. They handled the business. You know, um, the Russian attack for them was very, very good, very good. You know, again, things that need to be cleaned up. Um, on their side of the ball as far as defense and offense goes. I think quarterback play has to be a little more consistent. Their defense, they made some key stops. You know, that kept the game, you know, under wraps for the most part, but it was a little too close for comfort, in my opinion.
Okay.
Um, and Texas A&M obviously just have to be better. They just all around have to be better.
Yeah.
Like, That's not gonna get it done in your conference. Luckily for Notre Dame, they're not in the conference, so they can kind of, you know, they can relax a little bit, but they can't relax a little bit
Yeah,
because everybody's out to get Notre Dame really. Because Notre Dame like, I know I've talked to a lot of people that think they're overrated, but so but they're not in a conference, so they can't really, you know what I'm saying? They kind of pick what they want to do, you know.
yeah,
But for Texas A&M, they're in a conference, and it just so happens to be arguably the best conference in all college football, you know. To some, you know, and the others may think different, but the proof is in the pudding as far as what teams have won championships the last 5 to 10 years. I'm just saying. Um, you know, so yeah, Texas A&M has no room for error, no room for error at this point, like at all.
yeah,
They need
yeah.
to get it done, get it figured out quick, or it's gonna be another long season. Notre Dame got to figure it out too, but they have a little more leeway. You know, they have a little more time to figure it out because again, they're not in a conference, so that could work out in their favor. You know, in a sense,
Okay.
because you don't have a conference game to play because you're not in one. You don't have a
Right.
conference to play against because you're not in one.
Hmm.
You know, your schedule is in your favor. You know, you got a couple big games on the schedule, but for the most part, if you can get past those few big games, everything else is cakewalk for you. You
Hmm.
know, so but Texas A&M doesn't have that luxury at all. So
Right.
they got to get it together like yesterday. They should have been practicing the day after the game. You know, they shouldn't even left the goddamn stadium. Joker should have been running the stadiums,
Oh
trying to get
God.
this thing together. I'm just being real. I
Yeah.
mean, stop me when I lie. I'm just being honest. They got to figure this thing out. You know, and
Listen.
I like A&M. I mean, their
Yeah.
fans are loyal. The atmosphere is crazy, and
They're
A&M, you
they're
know,
very weird, but they're very loyal. I will give you that. That was fair. They are very weird but very loyal.
yeah. I mean that. And A&M, I have nothing against A&M. I think they've been right there at the cusp of being something, and they just sputter. You know what I'm saying? Like with Johnny Manziel, that was the time to, you know, create something. But it's like they just phased on out. You know, and they have the money for NIL deals. They get the players. It's just like I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. It's almost like they cursed to not get over the hump. Like I'm just being honest. You know, you had Jimbo Fisher, you had, you know, all the top recruits. You had one of the top recruiting classes one year. You know what I'm saying? And it just never transpired. And it never became anything. So
Yeah.
and the margin for error is small. You know, so I don't know. Yeah, it's my take on that game.
All right. Well, hey, let's go ahead and hit these week 2 matchups real quick. We have a long list of games on tap for week 2. First off, hitting on the noon game, 12 p.m. Fox, Texas versus Michigan. Now, I just want to get your quick prediction. We kind of over our hour mark. I don't want these people thinking we just yapping. But Texas Michigan, who you got winning? Why? Briefly,
Uh,
briefly.
no, I got you. No, I
Okay.
got Texas. I got
Okay.
Texas. I think Texas got a point to prove. They look good.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, I just think they're gonna capitalize off of last week, and Michigan didn't look as hot,
Yeah.
as Texas did coming in. So I think Texas their last game is gonna carry over to this one. My opinion. I don't think it's gonna be by much, but it'll be
Okay.
a good game. Texas over Michigan.
Yeah, I same here. I got Texas. I'm a huge fan of Isaiah Bond, that receiving core, Silas Bolden. Michigan on their side, not starting Alex Orji. I kind of still question that from last week, but hey, whatever coach whatever coach Sharon Moore decides, I think that's what's best for the team. But we'll see come as days gets closer to Saturday who's going to be that starting guy. But yeah, I got Texas. Next game, let's see here. Uh, 14 Tennessee and 24 NC State. Didn't really get a chance to see much of NC State this past weekend, but I do know Tennessee has a star-studded quarterback behind center with Nico I. We got a chance to see a little bit of him the last bowl game that they played, and that guy looks like he's going to be a problem for the SEC this year. So I
They
got
handle
Tennessee.
business too. They handle
Yeah,
business too.
yeah. Who
I
you got?
I'm gonna go with Tennessee.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Tennessee, and not because they're SEC, but I just think that offense was
Mm-hmm.
clicking this past
Yeah,
weekend. I think if it becomes a shootout, which I think that it will, because I don't think Tennessee's defense is super strong, but yeah, I don't think you can stop Tennessee from scoring if you're
yeah,
NC State. Not consistently once they get rolling. So I got
yeah.
Tennessee.
I know NC State has a wide receiver, and I can't think of his name at the moment, but he's a guy to definitely look out for. I want to say it's like uh, Kevin something, Kevin C. It's something like that, Kevin C. But yeah, I think he's going to definitely make some noise this week against Tennessee. So definitely keep an eye out for him. Also, last but not least, Colorado, Nebraska. Who you got?
I don't want to go against Colorado, but that's just
I
picking.
don't either, but brother, Dylan Rayola looked really good this past weekend. It's gonna
Yeah,
definitely be a
yeah.
it's gonna be a matchup between the quarterbacks, but
I'm
I
gonna go. I'm
I
gonna
I have a
go.
feeling I have a
I'm gonna go.
feeling
I'm gonna go Colorado with this one, only because Hunter is hot right now.
Hunter is hot. Okay,
Shador is hot right now, and the one that we do
Shador
not
is
talk
hot.
about, Jimmy Horn, is.
Pause. Go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go
Nah,
ahead.
that's it. I got Colorado, but not
Oh,
by
okay.
much.
I was just making sure. I was just making sure you didn't catch that last bit. But man, I want to go Colorado, but I feel like Dylan Rayola is about to have something so in store that we
Nah,
are going
yeah,
to.
I think it's gonna be a shootout. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game.
I think so too, but I don't want to bet against Colorado. Even though I've been very critical of Colorado. Like I even said last week, if they lose to North Dakota State,
Which they almost
this
did.
podcast was going to be unhinged, and they handle business.
Kind
But
of, sort of.
man, this is their first. What? This is their first conference opponent in a new conference. I'm doubling down. I'm taking Nebraska.
Bit.
Taking Nebraska.
Not a bad.
Um,
Hey, stand on that.
I'm standing on it. 10 toes. Um, let's see here. I'm looking at my slate. Uh, I think that's it. I mean, we have a rivalry game, Iowa and Iowa State. Say something. Say something. Say something. Say something. I want you to. I said it. Iowa.
Hey, no judgment here. No
All
judgment.
right. Yeah, that's what I thought. They play at 3:30 on CBS. Another big game. Looking at Boise and Oregon at 10 on Peacock. First of all, I can't stay up for another late kick game. I just can't do it. I may not get a chance to watch this one in person, but I promise y'all I love the game of college football, but I cannot deal with these late kick games. So I may not get a chance to watch it. Now unless Stackz literally like says, "Hey brother, we need to stay up and watch this," I may be out for the count. I don't know yet.
We
And
gonna, we gonna, we
also
gonna get it straight. We gonna get it straight.
I hope so. Also, want to give a shout out to my boy up in New York, Alex LeMay. I told him I was going to give him a shout out when Syracuse won this past Saturday. They handled business, but are y'all going to win against Georgia Tech this upcoming weekend? They got Georgia Tech at 12 on the ACC network. Another game. Oklahoma State versus Arkansas at noon on ABC. I think Ollie Gordon is going to handle business on that one. And then also at 3:30 is going to be South Carolina and Kentucky on ABC. So yeah, and then also 8 p.m. Appalachian State and Clemson on the ACC network. So yeah, that's all the games that I got on my slate. Hopefully we'll see what the outcome is. Stackz, you got anything before we close out, brother? You good?
Good.
All right. Well, I think that's good for us.
Welcome back to the couch.
Hey, long live the couch, man. The couch is back. But thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. It's been another great episode of the College Couch Podcast. Thank y'all so much for all your love and support from just the very beginning. Listen, we're almost a year in. We're almost a year in. This month will make a year. So yeah, man. Thank y'all so much for rocking with us and hanging out with us. Y'all make the couch what it is. Y'all make the couch what it is. And we can't thank y'all enough for your love and support. Continue to subscribe, continue to like, continue to follow us, continue to give your suggestions, your comments, all that and more. And yeah, thank y'all so much. And before we close out tonight on another great episode, we do want to send our heartfelt condolences to all those affected at Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia. 4 dead, 9 injured today in a senseless incident. We need more love in this country. There's no room for hate. It's just unnecessary. We just all need to come together as a country and just surround each other in love. But we definitely want to make sure we close out tonight's episode on a serious note. You know, us here at the College Couch, we want to make sure we uplift one another, as well as, you know, our high school students, our college students, you know, everyone really. But we definitely wanted to make sure we closed out and send our heartfelt condolences to all those affected at Appalachia, High School in the Barrow County community, as well as Winder, Georgia. So please join us in a moment of silence as we close out today's episode.